Where I am now, better than before, through those open doors. Where I am now, where I am now, I'm in a special place. I'll tell you what we praise. Where I am now.
It's now time for the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. The music that you hear in the background is none other than Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, Where I Am Now.
Where I am now.
And if you'd like to see us on the World Wide Web, all you have to do is go to Edward Everett's Facebook page, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton's Facebook page, and guess what? You can see us all over the world. And now I want to introduce to some and present to others the host of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, and a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. E. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Would you, could you, will you be my neighbor?
Let's welcome our neighbors, our WGPL 1350 AM listeners.
Peace, 95.3 FM and WPCE 1400 AM.
Facebook Live is on and popping. Let's also welcome Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll shout you out later on in the show.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Like, share, comment, subscribe, and we promise we'll shout you out later on in the show.
And don't forget that you need to go down to YouTube right about now and like and share and subscribe on YouTube to all of FYI Radio Show's broadcasts.
Absolutely. Go to Cristo Records 1, CRISTO Records 1, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Mr. E is Fun Friday.
That's right. It's Fun Friday, and I just got paid.
It's the weekend. I hope you all are going to do something special. I know I am, and I'm looking forward to a great weekend, great weather here in the Hampton Roads area as well.
Tell us what you're looking to do on
Ooh,
this
Mr.
weekend.
E, you mighty nosy. But I will say my grandson is his 9th birthday, so he's going to have a great, big, wonderful party over at my home. And then I'll be in the studio as well doing some music, so I'm excited about that. But Mr. E, Fun Friday is here. The week went past so fast. Seems like May is rolling by so quick. But the weather is just fantastic. It's yielding some beautiful spring flowers.
That's right.
All kind of things.
That's right.
But today is our segment for women.
That's right.
And well, this is what we call issues concerning women. And but today we have a very special guest, a wonderful young lady who is here. Attorney, she's an immigration attorney. Elena Kilpatrick is here to talk about immigration, the border, and Title 42.
That's right.
Good morning, Miss Elena.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing really, really good. And let me tell you, I am looking forward to this conversation. I'm actually looking forward to you teaching us, because the more we see talk about immigration and see what's happening at the border, the more I don't understand. I don't know about Mr. E, but I need to know more about it. First, Elena, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And then we're going to talk about what's happening with Title 42.
Well, first off, I'm so excited to be here, and I am so excited to hear that you are eager to learn about this very important topic. And this very, very important topic affects women in ways that maybe we haven't considered. So I will hopefully be able to explain a little more about that. My name is Alina. I am an immigration attorney, as you said. I currently straddle two positions. I work in cooperation with the Sacred Heart Center of Richmond, and I also work with the Legal Aid Justice Center, where I am a senior immigration attorney. I help people try to stay in the United States. I help people who are people and families, children, victims of human trafficking, remain in the United States where it's safe and hopefully not be separated from their families and go back to their home countries where they face danger.
Wow. Can you talk to us about the border, what's been happening, the ending of Title 42, and how can you help us to understand what it all means?
Well, we're going to go backwards. We're going to go from the end back to the beginning,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because right now, we're at the 42, the end of Title 42, we're sort of today on May 19th, 2023, seeing how events that occurred in the 50s are manifesting now in the United States. So what's happening with Title 42? Title 42 is really not an immigration title. It's really a health issue.
Yes.
It was enacted because of the pandemic and because the U.S. government didn't want people entering the United States during the pandemic. It was enacted theoretically to reduce the spread of the pandemic. Now, there are varying opinions about whether or not that was effective, whether or not that was a good thing, or whether or not that backfired. I'm in the camp to believe that backfired because what ended up happening at the border during the pandemic is people who were not tested first were just sort of put together in these giant detention centers.
Wow.
And it allowed the disease to spread even more. And some of them were released into the United States because we just really couldn't remove them all.
Wow.
Some were allowed to come into the United States for humanitarian reasons, and because they were all sort of sandwiched together in these detention centers, it sort of spread.
Yes.
And people who claimed fear of return and who were not allowed out immediately spent more time in detention, where that proceeded to just fester. It was very, very difficult for people who were anybody who was in the position of being a jailer or any sort of corrections officer, anyone working in incarceration will tell you how difficult it was to try to keep numbers down in an institutional confined setting. I mean, we can all imagine, common sense tells us that that would be so difficult. But right now what's happening is, since the Biden administration has decided that the pandemic emergency no longer exists.
Wow, yes.
Title 42 is being lifted, but that's really more of a public health thing than an immigration thing, but it has enormous consequences, right, to the whole issue of immigration.
Yes.
So Title 42 was lifted this past Thursday at the border.
Okay. You know, I didn't know until I started reading up on it that it did have to do with health. It had to do with COVID, and it just surprised me. I thought it all had to do with immigration reform. And so, can I ask you some questions that, first of all, when a family decides or a person decides to come to the border, do they come just saying, I just want to get into the United States? Are there reasons why people want to come to the United States? And that's one question, but I want to ask the second question too, is when they would come, I mean, what protocol is in place for them to get there? So are they just, what reasons are they coming?
Well, the reasons are as diverse as the people who are coming. So we have folks using the southern border to cross into the United States who were coming from Afghanistan.
Ah.
Okay. All right. So people who couldn't get out, when we saw those horrible news stories of those planes just being stuffed full of evacuees trying to get out of Afghanistan, not everyone could get out at that time. So we have people who are taking very roundabout ways to get out of Afghanistan and come join family in the United States and to seek asylum in the United States. And because, they might not have passports, they might not have certain parole provisions. They're coming in through Brazil usually. A lot of folks come in from Europe and Asia, come in through, and Africa come in through Brazil, and then make their way on up.
Wow.
So we have Afghans, we have people from Haiti. I don't know how much you know about the situation in Haiti, but Haiti is completely deteriorated.
Yes.
We have a lot of folks coming in from Venezuela, because Venezuela has completely deteriorated. And we have folks coming from all over who are running from persecution, who are running from extreme poverty, and who are running from climate change. The livelihood of many people has been completely destroyed as a result of climate change. But people who are asking for asylum are asking for asylum because they are fleeing some sort of persecution. So in order to be eligible for asylum, a person has to prove that they suffered persecution or will suffer persecution. So economic migrants, climate migrants, unfortunately, do not qualify for asylum under the current law.
Okay, so there is an asylum process. Is that what you're saying? You have to do certain things. Okay.
It doesn't really work that well, but it exists.
Wow.
So as of March to 2020, there were about 1.7 million immigrants trying to cross over. And as of 2020, now I know that number has grown tremendously, but why couldn't they, when they got close to the border, that they started, examine them then to see who has what, instead of just putting them in a makeshift tent? Why they couldn't determine, why couldn't they just examine and together and separate those who have that virus, so that that pandemic virus, so they wouldn't spread amongst each other?
Or asylum.
Well, as far as the public health issue is concerned, I think that what happened is that the administration at the time just didn't see that as, I invite you to talk to someone who worked in the Trump administration at that time.
Okay.
To explain why that didn't happen. But from my perspective as an outsider who was not there, it was a numbers game. You have X number of people and you have X amount of space. And it was a very conscious decision on the part of that administration to make the choices that they did. But I absolutely invite you to talk to someone from that time who helped make those decisions. From my perspective, they weren't the greatest decisions. I think that they harmed public health a lot more than they helped public health. But I think it had a lot to do with just safety.
Absolutely. Elena, tell us what was happening during that time to people that wanted asylum. Were they just suffering in their country? What do you know what happened?
Well, there were a lot of different things happened to a lot of different people, and it was sort of arbitrary how it worked out. But during the Trump administration, during the pandemic, some people, well, not some, many, and I don't have exact numbers, but it was in the thousands, were told to wait in Mexico for a time to come in and present themselves and explain why they have fear. Now that backfired significantly. But number one, the Mexican government really wasn't ready to sort of resettle, even temporarily, all those people on the border. And the other thing that happened is that those folks became targets of horrible crime.
Mhm.
I've had many families who went through the Wait in Mexico program,
Mhm.
and every single one of them were robbed at some point.
Oh,
Mm.
Were either robbed or kidnapped while they were in Mexico.
Mhm.
It wasn't. It wasn't something that worked really well because people were sent far away from where they were supposed to report. There was no real way of communicating about reporting. Like there were times when the border officials couldn't give a date and time to really come back and appear. They're like, we'll tell you by Facebook.
Oh, my.
I mean, it just they're highly imperfect methods of communicating to people when to show up. People would show up and then learn that they were at the wrong border station.
Oh,
They
wow.
needed to be at another border station 300 or 400 miles away. People would show up without their paperwork because what had happened? They had been robbed. Their
Oh,
passports,
wow.
their documents had been taken. The the difficulties that folks face with regard to that cannot be understated. And
Yes.
and it was ever changing, and the border officials themselves had a very, very difficult time trying to keep up with it. And there just wasn't a very good system in place to make it work.
Yes.
And I have my feelings about why that was. My opinion is that it was because it just really wasn't that much of a priority to actually have it function well.
Amazing.
You know, attorney, as we talk about the asylum, as we talk about the immigrations, what qualifications does one has to have at the border in order for them to come into the United States?
Well, today on May 19th, 2023, I can't answer that question because I don't know right now what I don't know what the criteria is exactly
Yes.
to be released into the United States. But I can tell you that in order to proceed with an asylum case, you have to a person has to articulate to a border officer that they have a fear of return.
Okay,
Wow.
okay.
So right now, what is supposed to happen, from what has been released publicly, what we know is that an individual or a family has to say, yes, I have a fear of return to my home country.
Yes.
Then I'm going to go through with this hypothetical that it's a family. All right. So the family says, I can't go back to Honduras because the gangs are extorting us and have said that they are going to murder us. All right. So the family says this. They are allowed to come into the United States to have an interview. It's called a credible fear interview. Very shortly after their entry. There's a pilot program, and interestingly, Virginia is part of this pilot program. And part of this pilot program is a family comes in, the head of household is put on electronic monitoring in the form of an ankle monitor, and the family is given a curfew. They're given a reporting schedule. They're not supposed to be outside a geographic area that they're prescribed. And then they're told somehow or another that they have to report to a particular place for a credible fear interview. Now, let's say those folks live in the Hampton Roads area. We don't know, are they going to go to Norfolk, the USCIS office in Norfolk for a credible fear interview, or are they going to have to go all the way up to Northern Virginia for a credible fear interview? That's a question I have. I'm sure there's an answer somewhere. I don't know. But folks without driver's licenses who might not read, write, or speak the English language are going to have to figure out how to get to that interview location. They're going to have to articulate why they're afraid. If the officer, the asylum officer, says that they have a credible fear of persecution on account of their membership, on account of a listed reason, which is a whole nother thing that I need to explain, then they can remain in the United States to present an asylum claim. If the asylum officer doesn't think that they have a credible fear of persecution for a specific reason, you see, this is the other thing that people don't understand about asylum, is it's not about what happened to you, so much as it is why that bad thing happened.
Wow.
The most unimaginable act of cruelty could befall you. And unless that horrible act of cruelty inflicted by a person, an institution, a group, or a government, unless a horrible act of cruelty and persecution was inflicted upon you because of your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion, or your membership in a particular social group, whatever happened to you is not important in the eyes of the asylum.
Can you tell me if you all see even beyond that, if the person comes in, are you looking at whether they are able to work, they have skills to work in this country? What can they contribute to this country? You're coming and you're getting asylum, but is that considered, the future of that family?
No, that is not part of what is considered with regard to asylum. Asylum is about whether or not you've been persecuted in the past, and whether or not that means you're going to be persecuted in the future, and the reason why you faced or are going to face persecution.
What about?
So by way of
Go ahead, Alina.
So by way of example, let's say we have a market in Honduras, and there are gangs going around, and they are only extorting people who are indigenous. You have people who are selling fruit, you have people who are selling clothes, you have people who are selling phones, but all of those vendors who are out in this market, it's only the indigenous folks that the gang wants to extort, or maybe it's only the black folks that the gang wants to extort, and not everybody else. Then that individual has a reason for asylum because they can connect the harm that they suffered, the extortion, the threats of death. Maybe they were even beat up. Maybe they suffered a kidnapping, or a loved one was kidnapped and hurt in order to get them to pay the extortion. If that individual can connect what happened to their race, to their religion, to something, to their political opinion, or their membership in a group, then what happened to them? Okay, now you've got potentially a case for asylum. But if a person was extorted just because the gang wanted money, well, I'm sorry, unfortunately, under the laws of asylum as they are, that would be very, very difficult.
Wow.
So what they're looking at is connecting those dots between the harm and that list: race, religion, nationality, political membership in a particular social group. Whether or not they have skills, language skills, things like that, that doesn't come into play at this juncture.
Okay. Lena, attorney, as we talk about the immigrants and we talk about the border, what's good about it? We see the bad part. We see that people are leaving their homes because they're going to be killed, because they're leaving their children. And what's the good point? What is the good side of it?
Well, I guess, I personally have not traveled down to Texas or Arizona or California to see it. But from what I have heard from the individuals and families that I work with is, once they get through the border and out of detention, there is a minor sense of relief that, okay, we're here. Hopefully the people who we're running from aren't going to track us down and kill us.
Wow.
It's a sense of relief and safety. I mean, if you can imagine for a moment what it would be like to be targeted by a criminal organization just because you're trying to earn a living.
Absolutely.
Or just because your daughter didn't want to marry a leader in that criminal organization. And you get your family, you get your daughter out and through the border and out of detention. Imagine just what that cathartic relief must be. Okay, like finally I'm in a place where I don't have to where that person, that gang is probably not going to find it.
Absolutely.
Okay? So that, I guess that's something
that's the plus. What about what way do you help as an attorney, immigration attorney, or your company help those that are seeking asylum? What role do you all play? What services do you all give?
Well, those services that I personally give differ based upon which category.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm transitioning into a position with the Legal Aid Justice Center, and I am wrapping up my practice, which is working in cooperation with the Sacred Heart Center. But typically what I do is I listen to a family or I listen to a person, and I try to figure out why they needed to leave their country. And I listen to the parts of their story and I try to help them connect those dots. As I said, immigration is a game of connect the dots. You have to connect the bad thing that happened to you or the bad thing that's going to happen to you with a reason on that list: your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion, your membership in a particular social group. So that's what I do is I listen to them and I try to make those connections.
Amazing.
And if those connections can be made and there's a viable case for asylum, then I help them through that process by filling out the form, gathering the evidence, helping them translate their documents, getting all those documents and those forms to the right place at the right time. Helping them present it.
Since Title 42 is over now, and you have to turn folks away at the border who's walked miles, millions of miles, just to get to the border, what would happen to them if they had to return, or is they going to still hang out on the border?
Well, that's a question with an answer that is going to be individual to every person. So my biggest concern is for those people who have a fear of return, who are going to face real harm, who are unable because of trauma, because of language, because they're not very able to express themselves well in words.
Yes.
Those people who have those fears, who didn't get through.
Yes.
What's going to happen to them? And that is a true humanitarian tragedy, because I don't know what's going to happen to them. Absolutely. Are they going to stay in Mexico? Are they going to try again? Are they going to return to their home country? It's a huge question mark that's individual for every specific person.
Absolutely. Elena, we want to thank you so much for being on. If you have some contact information, can you give it to our listeners and our viewers?
Sure. You can find me at the website for the Legal Aid Justice Center, and my email is up there, and that is Alina, ALINA, at justiceforall.org. And the 4 is the number 4. So at justice4all.org.
Thank you so much. We look forward to talking with you on Monday on FYI After Dark. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for the information.
Of course, and thank you so much for being willing to listen. It's a truly important topic that affects all of us.
Absolutely. You all come over here for a little while. We're going to talk a little bit more about our schedule, our upcoming shows, and what to expect from FYI Radio Show. Be blessed. Have a wonderful weekend.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. And our special guest has been none other than attorney Alina Kirkpatrick, the attorney of law of immigration and asylum. For more information about FYI, give us a call at 757-714-7861. Don't forget to enjoy the weekend, and happy birthday to Christian. Have a wonderful, wonderful day now here. I
Okay, talking about immigration. Woo, Mr. E, I learned things that I did not know. The information about immigration and to see it is as confusing and jumbled up as it looks. I saw so many immigrants at the border, wanting to come in,
right.
desperate, and you're helpless. Then you have the leaders and those that are governors and things. They're making decisions. You don't understand why they're doing what they do. You just don't understand the whole picture of it. And then Title 42, I had no clue that it had to do with the health.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
about
right.
COVID. I did not have a clue. I thought it was all about asylum and just getting out. But it was about shutting down the borders while COVID existed.
That's right.
And they wouldn't let anyone in. She said that we should talk to that administration that was in there, which was Donald Trump.
Yeah,
keeping folk out, but it had all to do with COVID. And then when they said, okay, this is it for Title 42, it was a rush
to get to
the border. They said,
right.
okay, it's our time now. But by that time, Mr. E, is so many folk. And like I asked her, what happened during those 3 years when they couldn't get asylum? She said, you shouldn't even ask, because it was a terrible thing for a whole lot of them.
That's right. And then some of them has to go back to their countries. Can you imagine?
Yes.
People that walk 400 and 500 miles just to get to the United States, just to try to get free. And some of them that are in Mexico, Salvador's and Honduras, now they got to go back and be, be shot, be killed. But what about the ones from Ethiopia and the one come from Afghanistan that done walked so many years? I can understand now why they put them all in tents. But here, the thing to get them in for health purposes, but they didn't do any examinations. They just packed them all in one tent. Some of them was in separate tents.
That's how all that COVID was spreading and whatnot.
That's right. They had put them all in one tent. Now when they release them, and some of them would qualify, no wonder so many folks look so sickly.
I tell you what, the conditions, and we're going to be talking with Alina Kirkpatrick on Monday. FYI After Dark. You all make sure you join us, because we're going to be able to ask all the questions in the whole wide world about it, and find out more about the conditions at the border, the conditions in the camps. I understand, and I'm going to have to do more research as well. I understand that the Biden administration is putting different tents and things throughout some of these countries to have people check in and to find out before they come all the way to the border if they qualify.
That's right.
And so that's going to solve some of the problems.
That's right. And I heard they was busing them back to their hometown, to where they come from, taking them back if the folks would accept them. Sometimes these countries have strict rules.
Yes, you can't just come out of a country just like that.
That's right. Either because they feel that that's treason, you betrayed them. If you come out some of these countries and you didn't get the okay to come out that country, then some of them will get upset with you when you try to go back in.
And you talking about Haiti? You think you gonna come out of Haiti just like that? You can't even go into Haiti just like that. I promise you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Miss.
I want to say good morning to Mr. Mark Howard, Miss Sheila Davis, Miss Roberta Cotter, Miss Sheila Robbins, Chris Hinton, and Beard God, Miss Mardell Lewis. Good morning to you. Also to each and every one of you, and I hope that we answer your question.
Yes, well, I had a few questions. Do people care about immigration? I know people care about keeping folk out. You hear that a lot. And certain parties in our government, they like, keep everybody out that ain't, just keep as many out as possible. But when I listen to Attorney Kilpatrick, it kind of makes me understand what's going on a little bit better, why they do certain things, why they see to it that people are coming through legally,
right?
Because you can't let the whole wide world in our country there. You can I'm saying you can have the asylum, you can help people, but you can't let everybody in just because they want in. Did you hear her say there's a process,
right?
Asylum process. You got to let them know why you need to have asylum. You got to let them know what's going on. She said all the dots have to, she said just because they say you gonna give them money, she said that is not a reason for asylum. There are laws to the asylum process. I did not know the laws as far as asylum. I did not know of the law, what they are, but she's saying that there are laws in place. You just can't say that, hey, my toe hurt and let me in your country. You can't get in here. And so that's just how it is. We're going to learn more on Monday at 6 p.m. With Miss Elena Patrick. She's an immigration attorney, and you'll be able to ask all the questions you want.
Do you think, here's a question that I would love to ask, see, when we bring people over to the United States, they suppose to abide by the United States rules and regulations. Mm-hmm. But why do we bring folks over and they still maintain their regulations, what their rules are, and doesn't abide by the rules that we have here? Let me show you, for example, when you bring a person over, their religious say they're not supposed to take immunization. Mm-hmm. No shots. We say you got to get them shots. So why are we allowing them to come into the United States and bring us all in little viruses of those diseases, and they don't get no shots, and now we got sickness that has put upon us because because our body is trying to fight, and now we got folks sitting right around us, ain't never had a vaccine in their day in their life, and they don't get them because of the religious purpose.
Well, we got to find out more about that as well. What happens. We know there are plenty of immigrants here in this country. We know there are immigrants that have gotten, successfully been here and they're very productive.
They come and take over the jobs.
But we know that there's a problem. There's a problem with the whole process, actually, from the beginning to the end. And so, and then you got illegal immigrants that come over and they get in, and they're tucked under their families that are here, and they don't have license to first. They don't have nothing. They being paid under the table, and you don't know what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I'm not saying they're doing wrong, necessarily, but they get over here and they're able to, just hover down and just be in this country and never give an account or paperwork or anything. For how they're here. So we're gonna find out more. We're gonna learn more. I know the last time we did immigration, Mr. E, the numbers just were so high on our posts, on our feed, and people were really interested in the subject matter. And so I hope you all, join us on Monday at 6 p.m. on FY After Dark, so we can just get more and more information. Mardell, it'll be a good time. Mardell says she there are some things she doesn't understand about the immigration and asylum and all those things like that. And so that'll be a good time for you to chime in and tune in to find out exactly, because it does affect us. It affects our country. It affects, how we see things. It affects how we treat folk. And, we need to get more information as possible. I did not have a clue that it had to do with COVID, with the chapter, Title 42, but now I know better. And I'm glad that we can give this information.
I thought it was because that what they trying to get into the USA, without the proper passport, and they done something wrong in their country. But now I see now them health purposes, and we got to do everything we can possibly do to protect our way of living, to protect our life, because that COVID ain't no joke.
I really feel as though the country that they're coming from need to give a better account of how people are being treated and what's happening. If you got daggone cartels turning it out and messing people's lives up and making them do this and putting them in gangs, your government need to be doing something about it. Your government need to be doing something about it. We hope that the government ain't the ones doing it.
That's right.
We hope
That's
that
right.
your government in these places are doing something about
Trafficking and all that stuff.
This stuff that's going on. That's the problem. You got to care. Do people care about what's happening to their own? Do they care that their own have to run to other countries for asylum? Do they care? So we'll find out. But anyway, Mr. E, it's Friday. It's the weekend. I hope you all are going to have a great time. I'm going to have a wonderful time. My grandson is ready to go. He is happy. He's having a wonderful party at my home on Saturday. His dad and mom and family and friends are going to be there. And looking forward to it. He's going to have a game bus. So I got to... all the games in the whole wide world, in a bus. Actually, it comes to the house.
Wow.
And, the kids can go in and play. They'll be in the pool. They'll be eating. They're going to have a good time. I do know that. So that. Rain or shine, they can go in that bus and just enjoy the games, PS5 and all. I think all of them will have PS5s up there. It's really a great game.
I think I better come too. Can I play like I'm
you
nine?
can play. You play like you know. I think if you bring a present, because Christian's like, he's looking forward to the present and all that kind of stuff. So, yes. We have Regina Parham, I believe that's the pronunciation of her last name. Thank you for joining us. We're going to give you the current job list, but you can also find it on our pages. Mr. E, are you ready?
Just in case you need a job or know if someone needs a job, get your pen and piece of paper together and start writing it down. For kids looking for intake specialists, the Suffolk Public Library is looking for a library service coordinator location service full-time.
The Planning Council, Respite Care Administrative Support Specialist is needed. The Planning Council also needs a VP of Finance. Virginia Living Museum Advancement Director, Astronomy Education Assistant, seasonal position, a guest engagement associate, that's what's needed with Virginia Living Museum. Also PR Marketing Director.
The Virginia Zoological Society is looking for a development manager. Zilder American Dream Theater is looking for a community liaison. The housing Bay Aging is looking for a house case manager, a VAAA care transitional coach, a desk support technician, an option council VDC.
All right, Hampton University, ETS High School Advisor. They also need a middle school advisor. Virginia Stage Company, they need a VSC Finance Assistant.
Elizabeth River Project looking for a seasonal River Star home assistant. For kids are looking for an after-school assistant post, an education coordinator post 1, a financial case manager 1, a grant building specialist post, a senior accounting post.
All right. Make sure you go online. That's up there. It's on LinkedIn. It's on Facebook. You all share it and give it to those that need a job. And look, we're going to serve just a little bit of 1 minute of some tea. I'm very curious about this, and I don't know how many people are following the story, but of Jamie Foxx, Mr. E.
Okay.
Jamie Foxx is out of the hospital. People have sat back and thought he was in the hospital for 1 month on life support, 2 months on life support. They didn't know where he was, and it wasn't, told by his daughter of every step that was being made. People in social media, in the social media world, was telling all kind of lies and selling flies, honey, because some of that stuff won't even true. But he's out the hospital. I heard he was rehabbing, and we can't wait to hear from Jamie Foxx. We hope all is well. A great talent. And has a movie that's supposed to be coming out. And but the thing about it, and I'm mentioning it because once social media gets to something, you don't know when. It's just like you playing the game back in the day. You tell one person something by the time you get to the end of the line, it's a whole new story. And so social media is like that. And but we hope that things are well. And we just want to make sure that we are not out here telling tales, that we are, not a part of the fool. Can you imagine, not being able to get the truth? And they're also talking about artificial intelligence, where people are going to be able to make up all kind of things and have you thinking some things are true and some things are lies and some things are for real, some things are not real. That has to be regulated, because we can't be walking around getting information and it's all wrong as rain and we going by it. It's good to do this, and okay, we all gonna start doing it. Then we find out, well, that was a lie. That was just told. That was just put in the atmosphere through artificial intelligence, just to make, just to brainwash or just to have you going. It's just amazing. But anyway, good luck to our friend Jamie. What's his name? Fox.
Yeah.
And look, we're gonna be serving some tea on our Mondays 6 p.m. shows, so we'll get a chance to really give a whole lot of tea. Mr. E.
Miss Hinton, I just want to drop this in the atmosphere. There's two things that we can serve this tea on. The Lakers lost last night. That's one tea. That's
you couldn't wait to serve that tea. Couldn't wait till Monday.
The Joker got him. The Joker.
Now that's right. They did it. Okay, let's tell it like it is. Mr. E, go ahead and tell what the score was.
The Joker got him 108 to 103. The Joker got him. It was a good game, good ball game.
A great game.
But the Joker got him. They put it on him last night at 108 to 103. LeBron, the overrated cat, had a fast break and didn't make it. So, but here's another thing I want. We've been talking about Morant. Jay Morant. Now, one of the things you got to understand about Jay Morant, he's a great ball player.
Yes.
But here's what happened to him. They done took his sneakers off the market.
Allegedly, yes.
Nike has pulled Jay Morant sneakers off the market. Yeah.
That's allegedly. Those sources have to be confirmed, but that's what they're saying. That he's suffering penalties from cutting up. And so we know that they've taken him out of the game.
That's right.
And so we'll see if there are any more consequences and repercussions along with it. So the word on the street is that, some of his endorsements are being pulled right from under. Now, look, let me tell you something, Jay Moran. If you take this opportunity and blow it, it's on you. We're not going to sit back and feel sorry for you, because everybody in the whole wide world would love a chance to be great like that and to play and see their boys and just girls go forth like that. You better get it together, and you better take advantage of the great opportunity God has afforded you.
That's right. That's right. Don't forget to join us Monday. Listen, it's going to be pandemonium. Our After Dark show and our morning show. Yes. Sports Talk in the morning at 9:30 to 10. And not only that, we're also going to have FYI After Dark. We're going to have Miss Alina Kirkpatrick is going to be our special guest, talking more about immigrations.
Yes, God bless you all. There's so much to talk about. We don't have the time, but thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your support. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday for Sports Talk.
And for more information, give us a call at 757-714-7861. Hey, have a great weekend. Happy birthday, Christian.
Happy birthday, Christian. I love you. And look, you all don't forget to subscribe. Cristo Records 1, Cristo Records 1 on YouTube. God bless you. Bye-bye.
2 up.